Good morning and welcome to the Wind Technology Testing Center run by MassCEC. Thank you, Governor and Secretary and Jen. So what you're seeing behind is we test utility scale wind turbines to verify their structural integrity. Basically make sure they work flawlessly for 20 years once they're on site. And it is my pleasure now to call Secretary Kathleen Theoharides.
Thank you, Director Urala, and good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here today. We've had a number of opportunities to come out to this wind testing center to celebrate milestones in this industry as we chase our climate goals as a state, the opportunity to build clean energy and to build the innovation that brings that energy technology forward and builds this clean energy workforce in Massachusetts is a huge opportunity for our state, for the country, and obviously for our clean energy and climate goals. This is the only facility like this in the country, and it's here in Massachusetts, which offers us a chance not just to be on the front line of testing these new technologies, but to attract workforce, to attract students who are learning this industry, and to attract the industry itself to locate here. So we're here today to talk about a couple of things, talk about the Clean Energy Industry Report that the Clean Energy Center puts out annually and has done so since they started investing in this space. And the field has grown 68% since 2010. It's a huge opportunity and a continued opportunity for Massachusetts. And one of the key things we're looking at right now is how to keep up the pressure in this space so we keep building this workforce of clean energy workers and diversify that workforce as we're building it. So we'll be talking about that report today, and Director Daloisio will talk more about the details in that report. We're also talking about the investments we need to make in this industry and in climate solutions as we move forward. And the Governor will say more on that front. But this is a place where we can't afford to wait. The investments are needed today as we chase these really aggressive climate goals and make sure that we can capture the jobs and opportunities here in the state of Massachusetts. The other thing I'd say is we're at a wind spot today. We're framed with wind blades, but this is an industry where we need all of the clean energy solutions on the table, whether it's storage or solar or clean hydrogen or electrification of our transportation fleets and our heating systems. We need to be investing across the board all over our state in this industry. So with that, I'll turn it over to a real champion of the clean energy development here in our state, Governor Baker.
Thank you, Secretary. First of all, let me first of all thank the folks from the Clean Energy Center, and Rule, thank you very much for having us here today. This was a this project and this facility was a multi-year effort, and I think it's important to remember that when you're in the process of building, for all intents and purposes, a new industry, it's important that people recognize the importance of both public investment and innovation to get from where we were to where we're going to need to go. And in this particular case, this project was funded in part by ARRA, which was the American Rescue and Recovery Act in about 2008. Part of the reason why it was funded was because it was ready and available to go, because people had been working on it for several years before that under a grant that the Commonwealth received 2 or 3 years before that. In many respects, one of the things we need to appreciate about clean energy generally and about new innovation in particular in clean energy is you need to be able to play to and appreciate where the future's going. You know, Wayne Gretzky once said that you don't chase the puck where it is, you chase the puck where it's going. And in this particular case, this is a great example of Massachusetts understanding and appreciating that there was an opportunity to create a very significant offshore wind industry up and down the East Coast, and for Massachusetts to play a major role in that. And that was over 10 years ago. And here we are today. We're at a point in time where this facility is very busy, where a lot of the technology associated with wind technology has changed in a really big way. The blades are different, the turbines are different. The ability of those turbines to generate electricity is profoundly more successful than it was even 3 or 4 years ago. And as we think about the future of clean energy generally, for Massachusetts to continue to grow its footprint in this space and to continue to be a leader, it's going to be important for the Commonwealth to continue to invest. And that's one of the reasons why, as an administration, we filed earlier this year a $750 million Clean Energy Innovation Fund before the legislature. Now, $750 million may sound like a big number, but if you think about the return on investment that the Commonwealth's gotten out of its life science investments, for example, where we are now, for all intents and purposes, probably the most important destination location for discovery in life sciences anywhere in the world, there's an opportunity for us to play exactly the same role in the next generation of energy. And I would hate for us to miss it, because people can't quite see all the way to the future. $750 million in a Clean Energy Innovation Fund would make it possible for all the brainiacs, and we have many of them, who are all over the Commonwealth, to take their ideas, turn them into prototypes, and turn those prototypes into projects, turn those projects into products, and turn them into businesses. And some of that takes a while. There's a company up in Andover area called 6K. 6K is the temperature of the surface of the sun, 6,000 degrees. That company is completely redesigning how to access and be able to put to use precious minerals that are an important part of electronic vehicles and EV batteries. And it's far more environmentally efficient than any of the current processes we have. It would be done domestically. This is currently something that, for the most part, we need these materials and these products to come from other countries, especially China. And it's much cheaper than the ways people typically access this kind of material currently. That's just one of dozens of companies and dozens of startups all over the Commonwealth that are going to bring us to the next act with respect to how we think about power generally. And we here in Massachusetts, once again, have a chance to be not just a regional leader, not just a national leader, but a global leader in this transition away from fossil-based fuels to the next act in energy. Now, these turbines, like I said, they're completely different than they were even 5 years ago. They'll be completely different 5 years from now. And this testing facility was a big part of what put us on the map. And with the help of our colleagues in the legislatures and others, we've been able to become, for all intents and purposes, ground zero for what will be an enormous offshore wind industry all the way up and down the East Coast. I've said many times to many of the people who are standing out there in the audience, the Massachusetts first procurement, for all intents and purposes, made clear to the rest of the country that you could create a price-competitive deep-water offshore wind industry here in the U.S. And that one procurement, which involved 1,200 megawatts of offshore wind, has led to gigawatts worth of power being pursued now by states and manufacturers and the federal government all the way up and down the East Coast. This Clean Energy Fund, which is about more than just wind, it's about every piece of that clean energy constellation, is a tremendous opportunity for us to continue to be the tip of the spear in the development of clean energy across Massachusetts, across the region, and especially across the country. And we look forward to working with our colleagues in the legislature to make it happen so that we can continue to be a place where the next act starts and makes possible so much of what we need to get done to truly get to that clean energy technology space that we need to be in going forward. And with that, I will turn it back over to Secretary Theoharides.
So back in the fall of this year, we had the fortune of making Jennifer Daloisio the next CEO of the Massachusetts Clean Energy Center, and in that role, Jennifer has been working with stakeholders across the space, with the industry, and with the great staff at the Clean Energy Center to make sure we are cultivating an environment that builds this workforce and develops these clean energy solutions right here in Massachusetts. So, Jennifer.
Thank you, Secretary, for those kind words. Thank you to Governor Baker for your remarks and for your leadership on clean energy and climate change. I want to also thank our partners in the legislature who've been important partners to MassCEC and our clean energy efforts. I'm pleased to be here today for the release of our 2021 industry report. I also want to thank BW Research and MassCEC's team for their hard work on this report. And it's fitting that we're here at the Wind Technology Testing Center to talk about the state of the clean energy industry here in the state, because this facility was one of MassCEC's very first investments in this industry. Built in 2011, it's the only facility of its kind in North America, designed for endurance testing on wind turbine blades, an essential part of advancing wind blade technology. We've tested over 50 blades here, including the GE Halide X. At 107 meters, it will be used in the first large-scale offshore wind project off our south coast, Vineyard Wind, that begins construction later this year. The Commonwealth also made early investments in offshore wind ports with the construction of the New Bedford Marine Commerce Terminal, the only existing purpose-built facility for offshore wind. This facility will serve as the construction base port for the Commonwealth's first two offshore wind projects. MassCEC made early investments not just in this critical infrastructure, but also in building the clean energy industry from the ground up, through fueling innovation, driving the market, and making sure that we have the workforce to support it all. These investments are paying off. Our ongoing commitment has led to a vibrant and resilient clean energy industry here in Massachusetts. We've released an annual clean energy industry report since 2010. We were the first state to work with BW Research to develop a methodology for data collection. This methodology has now been replicated by a number of states and at the federal level. And this is really representative of much of our work in clean energy. Massachusetts often leads the nation on clean energy and climate issues, paving the way for others to follow. There's no question that 2020 was a difficult year for many industries and sectors across the state. This report, which has data collected through December of 2020, shows that the Commonwealth experienced a decrease in clean energy jobs for the first time since 2010. Similar to the statewide labor market, most of those jobs were lost between March and May of 2020, primarily installation jobs in the early days of the pandemic. Early estimates through December of 2021 show that this recovery is continuing, underscoring the resilience of the clean energy industry. As of December in 2020, we had 101,000 clean energy workers here in the state. We were ranked number 1 in the country for median clean energy wages, and we found that the industry here is powered by small business. Over 61% of our clean energy businesses have 10 or fewer workers. In order to meet our 2030 ambitious climate goals, we will need to increase the pace at which we decarbonize our buildings, electrify our transportation, and deploy clean electricity generated by offshore wind. We will need to continue to grow and develop a well-trained and qualified clean energy workforce, and one that includes individuals and communities who have been historically underrepresented. MassCEC is a critical catalyst in the state's fight against climate change, working alongside our partners in the state and the legislature to achieve our ambitious climate goals. With additional funding at the scale which the governor has proposed, we're poised to increase our work at the time in which it is most needed. The United Nations released a climate report earlier this week, and it provided a stark picture, underscoring that timing is more urgent than ever, and recommending that governments significantly ramp up their spending on climate mitigation. The work we do at MassCEC focuses on solving those hard-to-tackle problems, supporting innovation, developing a workforce that is diverse and equitable, and sufficient to meet the needs of our energy transition. Both the urgent climate crisis and the economic downturn brought on by the pandemic present us with this once-in-a-generation opportunity to transform the ways in which we use and generate energy, creating economic opportunities for residents of the Commonwealth. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jen. So in closing today, I would just like to thank everyone who is here from the environmental space, from the clean energy space, our colleagues in the legislature, Representative Ryan, who's the district representative here, and Representative Cutler, who oversees the Labor and Workforce Development Committee, chairs that committee. From the workforce industry, from the clean energy sector, from the wind sector, lots of different people have contributed to where we are today. And there are a number of things we have left to do. This summer we will come out with our most ambitious to date clean energy and climate plan, spelling out the pathways and strategies we need to get to our at least 50% emission reduction goals by 2030, with an eye towards our net zero target for 2050. The governor's filed $750 million for clean energy, another $200 million in the transportation bond bill for clean transportation strategies. We've gotten some ARPA money for resilience on the order of $100 million. We're going to be looking for more, and we need this group to help lift up that message and get it done this session, because we really can't wait on these solutions. So thank you all for being here, and we look forward to our continued work together.
So